My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Hannibal Season 3, and this will be a spoiler-filled review, so there's your warning. But I really like the first season. I love most of the second season, and I've heard some mixed things about Season 3, but I still went into it with an open mind, and holy shit, it is a giant piece of shit. My god, this is so bad. But let's begin talking about some things that I liked. The inspector's death was very brutal, and I like the scene that follows it with Jack and Hannibal fighting, and Jack actually gaining the upper hand. That was a very satisfying moment. I think the episode titled Digestible is easily the one great episode of this season. I love that moment when Will takes a chunk of that guy's face off, and you can just see that Hannibal is proud. And I love what Mason threatens to do about wearing Will's face as they devour Hannibal. It is so dark and menacing, and I love the misdirection where you see a face getting cut off and you think it's Will's, but then it turns out Mason is wearing the servant guy's face instead. And just when people mess around with faces, it gets really under my skin, and I loved all of that. I thought the whole surrogate muzzle / pig thing was really disturbing, and Mason's death was pretty brutal. But you also got yourself some great character work at the end where Will just tells Hannibal, leave. I'm not going to look for you anymore. I'm done. And Hannibal gives himself in so Will always knows where he can find him. That's a really great way to end this episode, and just the obvious best episode of this season. Anyone who says any other episode, I just could not disagree more. I also like that scene of Dr. Chilton getting his lips bit off and his burnt body and how he's still alive. And the home invasion scene of Will's wife and kid is a very tense sequence. So it's got a few moments here and there. It's got a few gross moments, a few tense moments, but let's get into it. First, I'm going to break this up by half because the first half and the second half are so distinct from one another. So the first half is the follow-up to the season 2 finale, and it is so atrocious. Like, I would give this first half a 0.5 out of 10. Minus Digestible. That's a great episode, but man, this first half is just insufferable. It is relentlessly boring and just dull, and I hate how they follow up the ending of season 2 and just no one really dies. Like, at the very least, Elena should have. And just all of that rate, all of that impact just vanishes. It reminds me of Yellowstone season 3 when you think that any of the main characters could have died, but then surprised, nobody did, and it's just like, you just ruined it. Like, Abigail, I guess, is the one person who died, but you don't even feel the weight of it because they try to pretend that she still survived, but she didn't. And it's just like, okay, well, you should have just let us felt that immediately. And for goodness sakes, Dr. Chelton survived from the midway point of season 2. He gets shot in the face, but nope, he's... What a stupid fucking decision. That actually pissed me off when I saw that flashback. You just can't commit to anyone staying dead. And they keep cutting back to that finale, and it's like we get it. I think it's episode 2, which literally plays 8 minutes of the finale again. I've seen this episode. Stop going back to it so often. And then they confirmed that the reason why Will called Hannibal is because Will views him as a friend. And I just never bought into that. It kind of ruins the dynamic of the relationship where Hannibal likes him because he just finds him fascinating, and Will is just trying to gain his trust to eventually gain the upper hand. But the fact that Will actually likes him despite everything he's done to him, it's just it doesn't work for me in any way. It's just I just don't like this reveal. He forgives him pretty fast, and it's just like, why not show that rage and that hatred? And they cross paths like immediately. And it's just like, why not, allow us to sit with the ending of season 2 a bit longer? But yeah, I just hated this first half. Everything with Hannibal's sister as well, and his past was just atrocious. Yeah, man, hated it. The second half, now keep in mind that my opinions are slightly tainted because I've watched both Manhunter and Red Dragon recently, but my reaction is just, are we doing this plot again? But this time it's stretched out for multiple hours instead of just a 2-hour long movie. And it's just, the story here just isn't that good, and it makes the same mistakes as the movie, as it spends so much time focusing on the villain, and he's just not that interesting. I did not care about the relationship he had with Reba, I think was her name. And then we see that Will has a family now, which should have been huge, but it's just so underdeveloped. I never gave a shit about his wife or kid. Why not have the first episode of the second half not focus on the villain, but focus on Will's new peaceful life? And then it ends with the Tooth Fairy killing someone and Jack going to Will. That'd be much more effective, but here it just seems like an afterthought. And then the way that Hannibal is locked up and all the writing regarding him was really weak. And it all just builds to this finale where Hannibal and Will work together to take down the Tooth Fairy. And it could have been good if they all kind of got killed in the process. But they defeat him, and then Will just throws them both off a cliff, which by itself is just a stupid direction and a really unsatisfying way to end this season/series. It feels like maybe they got the news that the series was ending, on the last day of filming, so they changed everything last second. I'm not entirely sure, but then they also play this song, and it just ruins any bit of emotional weight that could have been present. So just, this half didn't really work for me either. And the entire season, my biggest issue is the artsy bullshit. There's been a real vision behind this show, but this season, doesn't just double down or triple down on it, it quadruples down on it, and it's just gets so pretentious and so insufferable, and it's just, the creators got their head so far up their own ass, and it just destroys the pacing. There's some very questionable editing choices. There's one episode that ends with Will about to get his head cut open, and then all of a sudden he's hanging upside down at Mason Virgil's, and it's just like, what a terrible, truly atrocious work there. Then we've got Elena and Margot, who are now lesbians and in a relationship, and it's just like, what? Elena and Margot have been clearly set up to be straight the entire time, and now they're madly in love with each other, and it just felt very forced, and I didn't buy it at all. And I hated everything with Hannibal's old psychiatrist, Bidella de Miro. Nothing about this stuff worked, and I find this character to be so dull. Hugh Dancy does a fine job, but he's given such weak material and he can't elevate it. Mads Mikkelsen, though, is able to elevate it. He's given shit material, but he's still very good. Lawrence Fishburne I like. Gillian Anderson is bland. Carolyn DeVenis as Elena. She was really bad here, and she just does nothing. I don't know why they didn't kill her off. She's just the easy pick. Richard Armitage, I liked him in the Hobbit movies, actually. He's one of the bright spots of that trilogy. But it just feels like another guy playing the Tooth Fairy. Just, I've seen Ray Fiennes do it, and Tom Noonan, I believe, is his name. And it just feels like more of the same. Rutina Weasley is very good though. I was impressed with her. I didn't like her as Maria in Last of Us, but here she's good. Joe Anderson is a step down from Michael Pitt, but he still does a fine job. A bit goofy in moments, but still fine. Nina Arundel as Will's wife has zero personality. Fortuna Solino is fine, I guess. Catherine Isabel is fine, and Will Esparza is fine, but he should still be dead. So overall, this show's this season's pretty terrible. Giant step down in quality, which is a real shame. It doesn't commit to the ending of season 2, and it relies on it way too much to an embarrassing degree. The character work and the story progression is just filled with nonsense, and it just chooses every unsatisfying tone it could have. It does have a few moments here and there, but the pretentious bullshit is dialed up, its pacing is atrocious, and it's just a very bad and a very boring season of television that I might go back to one episode and rewatch, but I'll never watch the rest of this season again. So I'll give Hannibal season 3 a 3 out of 10. Okay, what did you think of Hannibal season 3? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin, out.